Chilly outside. A lot of business to take care of tonight. Our first meeting of the new year 2025. It's coming in as a chilly one, but at least we don't have the ice and the snow. Although it would really be good if we did have a little bit of snow. We might end up with it anyway, but at least we don't have ice. If anybody's driven in ice, it's not pleasant. Our Mayor Pro Tem, Dr. Kimwana McCray, is at home. We're still recovering from surgery, but she is going to be on the phone and she's allowed to vote and comment on any of the agenda items tonight. So we'll call the meeting to order. Please rise for our invocation from Pastor Ron Godbolt and remain standing for our pledge of allegiance.
Let us pray. Gracious Father, we thank you for this day you blessed us to see. We thank you for bringing us together. Thank you for a new year that we've never seen before. We ask your blessings upon us as we go forth in this new year. We pray that you bless this board with wisdom and understanding that they can make the right decision, that the people of God may be blessed. We give you praise for using them in this service for our community. Continue to bless us all and help us to be the people you called us to be. Bless our men and women that risk their lives, that we can have these freedoms that we have in America. We give you praise for them and their families, and we honor your great name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. First item is approval of the agenda. I think we have one addition, and I know we have one deletion, but Commissioner Craver will add the addition.
I'd like to amend the Hope Mills Homeless Advisory Committee bylaws and adopt the corresponding 2025 meeting schedule.
Okay, you want to adopt the meeting bylaws and the meeting schedule that will go under new business item F. Actually, is that where it goes? Under F, new business?
Yeah.
Okay. The other item we have is under the consent agenda. That's going to be item D. And that's the item about surplus property. We're going to remove the 2005 Ford Expedition Fire Department. We will be keeping this vehicle to transfer to the Public Works Department. So we get rid of that one and we add one. Any other additions or deletions to the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda with corrections.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem agrees. It's unanimous. Agenda is approved as published with the addition and the deletion. We go into official comments. First up, Chancellor's Manager's Report.
Thank you, Mayor, Board of Commissioners, and welcome to our citizens and general public on our YouTube live stream. The manager's report, this is the first one of this year, and I felt it was fitting to start it off with a manager's message. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it talks about serving as a town manager continues to be an honor and a privilege for me. Talks about how I want to build on the momentum of the progress we made last year, which was one of the most successful years that we've had in Hope Mills. It gives some milestone updates for some things that we're doing. We have since actually rescheduled the department head budget priorities meeting since the manager's report went out. But I wanted our staff and our citizens to hear from me for the first manager report of this year. Spring athletics registration is open from January 1st to February 28th. Police and fire continue to directly engage our community. Police had their breakfast with badges at Exit Grill. recently, and our Parks and Recreation and Fire Departments actually visited Harmony Health Mills to bring them Christmas cheer to our assisted living facility as well. So that's something they did. The second page of the manager's report, I want people to pay attention to the grants program that we're still continuing to move forward with. The North Carolina League of Municipalities Technical Assistance Grant Program is something we started last year, and it's still paying dividends. The two most recent grants that we submitted for right before the Christmas break is the Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities, which is the BRIC grant. That was submitted by Public Works for a request of $2.2 million for the East Patterson Street embankment, and the Strengthening Our Defenders grant is a grant that we also applied for our first responders, equipment for our fire department to solidify our water rescue training efforts, as well as multi-threat level body armor vests for our police. That was a total of $95,000 as well. And so I think I'm estimating right now, but we're at about 6 million so far that we've submitted grants for since we started this program. And I want to make sure everyone knows that's off of a $30,000 investment. And so there's more details about it in the manager's report. The final page continues to provide construction updates for NCDOT railway projects, and that does conclude the manager's report for this board meeting.
Thank you, Chancellor. Before we get into board comments, that $6 million in grants is within the 1 year period that we started this program.
That is correct.
That was a milestone a year ago when the new board came in, is that we were going to look for grants, grant writers. If we had to outsource, that's what we were going to do. Because if you don't apply for them, you don't get them. So we're up to what, 6 million now in grants, grant opportunities that has been beneficial and can be beneficial to our community. I want to welcome the distinguished Honorable Frances Jackson. She's here with us tonight. She is from the House Representative from District 45, our district. And I welcome her to come to our board meeting tonight. And I'm sure she's brought a lot of funding with her for all the projects that we're looking at doing this year. All right, moving on to board comments. Commissioner Stoll.
Thank you, Mayor. Happy New Year, everyone. Same year, well, different year, new me, right, everyone? I have no additional comments. Good to see everyone here. It's good to see so many people in the audience. Happy New Year.
Commissioner Marley.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to say I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday. Happy New Year to everybody, and I want to congratulate everyone that's being promoted tonight. It's always good to see these promotions take place, and I know they're well deserved. Thank you.
Commissioner Legg.
Thank you, Mayor. It's good to see everyone out here on Tuesday night. I would like to see us tonight, if we could, have a moment of silence for President Carter and the victims of the tragic accident, we'll call it an accident, in New Orleans that killed so many people. We all thank you.
I'd like to have that moment of silence now, Commissioner Legg.
That's up to you, sir.
Let's honor that. Let's take a moment to reflect on the passing of former President Jimmy Carter and all the victims that suffered a tremendous amount of loss in the world. Thank you. Commissioner Creighton.
Thank you.
I want to wish all of you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year that's passing. So we're looking forward to another one this coming year. And I'd personally like to thank all of you that remembered me with cards and calls and text and even some good homemade chocolate fudge and cookies and a red velvet cake and I'll probably eat all that and gain another 10 pounds. But I do want to thank all of you for remembering me.
Thank you, Commissioner Craver. Mayor Pro Tem Dr. McCray.
I would just like to wish everyone a happy new year, and I hope that I'll be seeing you all soon.
Thank you. We miss you. Get well and come back soon. It's only a couple of things I have as mayor. I tell you, like Chancellor said, it's been, when you look back at the year in reflection and all the great accomplishments that this board, along with the town staff and the community, has really, really worked hard in the past year to really move us forward where we are. Do we have a lot of things to do in the future? Yes, we do. One of them is the first budget workshop for the year. It was going to be tomorrow. It's been moved to the 14th. And that is open to the public. It'll be over in the public safety building. And I encourage everyone, if you can come. If not, it'll be live streamed. But it is the first opportunity to look at what our departments are requesting or wanting to request this year for the budget. It seems like every day, including this weekend, someone stops and says thank you for the repair on Deaver Circle. It's amazing how one repair of that road has affected so many people that travel and use that road. Over 2,000 people use that one road every day. And a lot of that thanks goes to that gentleman sitting right back there. That's Don Cisco and his team. That's where the thanks goes. The other thing was I continue to hear about how nice our Christmas parade was, even though it's been a few weeks. That nighttime Christmas parade with all the lights. A lot of folks enjoy it and kids enjoy it. So it's something to build on. And then last, who knew that we had such talent during Christmas in the rec center to put on a play called It's a Wonderful Life? I hear about that too. Well, they're back. They got another show coming up in May. It's a Peter Rabbit show. I think it's a Peter Rabbit show. It's something close. Yeah, it's something. And this, yeah, maybe that's what it is. But those are my comments. We're going to go into presentation. We've got some promotions tonight. Chief, I'll meet you down front.
So as you know, we've hired a lot of officers over the last year, and one of the keys in growing the department is having great supervision. And tonight we're going to promote some good officers to those positions. We'll start off with our sergeants. Unfortunately, we're hoping Sergeant Monahan makes it to us. He's been at the jail since 4 o'clock, so we're hoping he gets here soon. But we'll start off our first sergeant. Our first officer that's going to be promoted to sergeant is Officer Valerie Moore. She was hired with the Home Mills Police Department in August of 2018. She had 4.5 years of active duty in the United States Army, and she's here tonight with her fiance Kayla. We're going to pull them all up in one shot, sir. Or
Do them individually.
individually?
Yeah, so they can bring your families with.
Valerie Moore.
You want to come up with your family, Bill? Anybody taking pictures, bring your cameras up, because promotions are huge. They're well earned. Good. Certificate of promotion by the order of the Chief of Police to Valerie Moore is hereby promoted to the position of sergeant, presented the 6th day of January 2025, and that's signed by the chief. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your service. just noticed that.
Our next officer, going to be promoted tonight to sergeant is Officer Yuri Bondarev. He was hired in July of 2022. He had 5.5 years in the United States Army with 1 deployment to Afghanistan. He has a bachelor's degree in law, and he hails from Russia.
Well, it's Yuri, right? The last name is Bonder. Okay, got it right there. Certificate of promotion by the order of Chief of Police, Yuri Bonder, is hereby promoted to the position of sergeant for the 6th day of January 2025.
Yeah, let them on in if you can.
Everybody can come in if they want. I didn't know if anybody else.
Yeah, let them know. There may be somebody out there who wants to see these promotions.
I'm going to skip over Officer Monahan. Hopefully he'll get here in time, maybe by the time we're done.
Okay.
But the next officer is going to be promoted to the rank of lieutenant, and that's Sergeant Bodoni Joseph. He was hired with the Hope Mills Police Department in July of 2012. He did 8 years in the United States Army and deployed to Iraq. He's currently pursuing a bachelor's degree in forensics psychology. Bodoni?
Mm-hmm. Oh, forensic psychology. Right. All right. Over there in the center with all the family. I don't know who's taking the picture, but there you go. There you go.
Get in the picture.
Oh. The officer just doesn't get promoted. The family gets promoted. That's something that I've long cherished as a member of the United States Army for my 27 years. Everybody gets it. Well, read it.
But wait.
You didn't get to see the picture?
You on this one?
No.
Just stay there.
There you go. All right, I'm gonna read it. Certificate of promotion by the order of the Chief of Police, Claude Reed Joseph, is hereby promoted to the position of Lieutenant. Lieutenant for 6th day of January 2025.
The next officer is going to be promoted to captain, and that's Lieutenant Robbie Grady. Robbie was hired in November of 2014, so a little over 10 years. He's been with the Hope Mills Police Department the entire time, and prior to that, he did 10 years of military service with the United States Army, and he's here with his family, his children, and his wife, Deswan.
Ready? Certificate of promotion. By order of the Chief of Police, Robbie Grady is hereby promoted to the position of Captain. been the sixth day, January 2025. You gonna hold this last one?
If that would be okay, I'm sure he'll be here by the end of the meeting. I'd like to.
We'll do it.
Okay, good.
All right. All right, next item. Someone just came on the back row. I see a very familiar face. Cumberland County Board of Commissioners Chairman, Kurt Deviere. We welcome you, sir. Next item is promotion. That's item B, promotion recognizing Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day 2025. That's under tab 2. I'll read that. Proclamation. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, January 2025. Whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. devoted his life to advancing equality, social justice, and opportunity for all, and challenged society to participate in the never-ending work of building a more perfect union. And whereas Dr. King's teachings continue to guide and inspire us in addressing challenges in our communities, and whereas since 1994, millions of individuals have been inspired by the life and work of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to serve their neighbors and communities, and whereas serving others has been an appropriate way to honor Dr. King, meet local and national needs, bring our citizens together, and strengthen our communities and nation, and whereas the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. federal holiday is also commemorated as a national day of service, and others an opportunity for Americans to give back to their communities and make an ongoing commitment to service throughout the year. And whereas events are being organized by a wide range of nonprofit and community organizations, educational institutions, public agencies, private businesses, and other organizations across the nation. And now, therefore, I, Jesse Bellflowers, Mayor, and the Town of Hope Mills Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim Monday, January the 20th, 2025 as Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and commend its observance through participation in a day of service. I too am inspired by his work and his teachings. Item C is next. The Trap House to Greenhouse Initiative is up. I think we're going to have a very good presentation. Okay, Chef. It's all your show.
Thank you.
Tell us about greenhouses.
So my name is Jake Fulmore. I founded the nonprofit Everybody Eats. And we are a nonprofit that focuses on raising awareness on food insecurity in lower income communities by teaching. We raise awareness on food insecurity in lower income communities by teaching urban gardening, urban farming, sustainability, and cooking techniques to teach how to create simple but nutrient-dense meals for members of our community. The nonprofit was founded last February, actually. It became a nonprofit on Leap Day of 2024, so we are coming up on our first year in totality, and it's been a whirlwind of a year. We had our inaugural community kickback last June at the Crown Coliseum, and we are hoping to do the same this year, where we just host a huge cookout. We invite vendors, sponsors, partners to just engage with the community, local farmers and butchers as well, people that you may not get to interact with on a day-to-day basis. And just a quick 30 seconds. I grew up here in Fayetteville. I graduated from Southview High School, so I bounced between Fayetteville and Hope Mills, honestly, my entire life. I graduated Southview High School and immediately took off as soon as I finished. And I went to Orlando to go to culinary school at Lake Cordon Bleu. Following that, I went to University of Connecticut to study dietetics up until the pandemic. Once the pandemic kicked us out of school, I took an internship with the San Francisco 49ers. While I was there, I started cooking for players on the side and became a private chef to a player that took me to Miami. And that journey in Miami is where I kind of saw the poverty line in, you know, my firsthand experience behind it. My client ended up not re-signing with Miami and ended up signing with the Buffalo Bills. And right before we moved to Buffalo, there was a mass shooting at a grocery store. And so we kind of got to see the grieving process as we got up there to West Buffalo. And I started interacting and meeting with other chefs and other members of the community who wanted to help those who were affected by that shooting. And that's when I got involved heavily with food insecurity. And I had a lot of fun throughout my journey as a private chef and with the NFL, but I wasn't being fulfilled. It kind of made me a little sick to actually go and hang out with certain people and then end up in the communities that are being affected by these tragedies. So I decided to start this nonprofit, and there was no better place to do so than my own backyard and the place that raised me. So Everybody Eats was born. Our two biggest focuses on this year are going to be our community garden and our Trap House to Greenhouse initiative. We are crossing some T's and dotting some I's as of next week. So I hope at the next meeting that you all have here, I'll be able to let you guys know that we do have the location for our community garden that will be starting in April. This initiative here will also be starting in April. And the mission of the Trap House to Greenhouse initiative is to transform communities and neighborhoods by addressing food insecurity and revitalizing neglected urban neighborhoods. And it aims to repurpose foreclosed and neglected homes, often seen as symbols of community decline, into vibrant green spaces for gardening, education, and communal engagement. The initiative seeks to empower underserved communities by turning blighted properties into productive spaces that foster security, environmental sustainability, and community pride. It leverages the concept of the reverse broken window theory, which is the idea of improving physical spaces that can inspire positive social and cultural change throughout the surrounding areas. And so this PowerPoint here is to emphasize exactly what that means. So the urban challenge is essentially just saying that you can drive past a neighborhood and know that it's a neighborhood that's unwanted, neglected, and overlooked by the public. By aesthetics alone, you can tell there's a lack of money or care to upkeep certain areas of a city, and there's a high chance that access to fresh produce is lacking as well. Lower income neighborhoods often face food deserts, which are areas with limited access to fresh produce and nutritious foods, and poor outcomes like obesity, diabetes, and heart disease run rampant in these areas. So the idea is transforming these foreclosed homes into green spaces. Many urban neighborhoods are blighted and abandoned and boarded up homes. These spaces are viewed as signs of neglect and they have little supervision, and turning these into productive green spaces for gardening, vegetable growing, and community engagement can flip the script on this narrative. And utilizing vacant land and lots to create urban farms and community gardens is the basis of this initiative. So this isn't only about growing food. It is about the actual entirety of these neighborhoods that lie below the poverty line. So transforming these abandoned homes into green spaces by cleaning up surrounding areas, removing debris, and creating inviting spaces for those residents. Sustainable farming techniques, urban gardening, and things of that sort do address the food insecurity. Our ultimate goal is to provide fresh, nutritious, and affordable food to urban communities, particularly those in food deserts, and teach them how to prepare simple meals for themselves and their families. And by doing that, we can reduce the carbon footprint associated with transporting food from rural farms to cities. These green spaces will also maintain sustainable practices like composting, water conservation, and organic growing techniques. We maximize space use by utilizing small spaces like rooftops, vertical walls, or vacant lots to grow food. Not only with conserving water, but showing that we can utilize water for more than just drinking. We can utilize water to grow food. One of the biggest things that this initiative utilizes is hydroponics and vertical gardening. So we have the ghetto mindset here. So that is enhancing community and social cohesion. So community gardens bring people together, fostering a sense of belonging, shared responsibility, and collaboration. Urban gardens enhance air quality and reduce urban heat and beautify neighborhoods. Urban gardening also teaches individuals about agriculture, ecology, and sustainable living, which helps cultivate skills in gardening, teamwork, and environmental stewardship. So again, like I said, we have vertical gardening. It involves growing plants upward instead of outwards. So plants are grown in containers, pockets, or modular panels attached to vertical surfaces. And some of the examples that we've been using, pink buckets, mop buckets, tires, any of these things can be used to contain our plants and actually grow, as well as if we were planting them directly in the dirt. There's a saying that if you can grow produce or grow vegetables or plants in North Carolina, you can do it anywhere, because we don't have some of the worst soil in the country, we have some of the worst soil in the world. Plants act as natural air filters, improving air quality. And ideally, it's aesthetically pleasing to look at when you see a bunch of colors, you see a bunch of butterflies, bees, things of that sort that are attracted to pollinators that just don't really exist in a lot of the areas here in the Sandhills region. Hydroponics is not using soil at all to grow produce, vegetables, plants, things of that sort. Use mineral-infused water to actually grow these plants. You can grow a plant directly out of a cup of water, and it'll thrive as if you put it into some soil as well. And so teaching these methods that you can actually use in any space, you don't have to go and buy anything in particular. You can use the environment around you to be able to grow your own plants, produce, vegetables, things of that sort. So the idea is a vertical hydroponic garden to allow lower income neighborhoods to grow multiple crops in a small footprint, utilizing walls, roofs, and limited floor space. Both methods support sustainable urban gardening by conserving space, water, and resources while producing fresh and local foods. So once these gardens, once these spaces, the foundation is built and had, we're able to teach residents how to grow their own produce and herbs, and we can incorporate composting, rainwater harvesting, and other eco-friendly practices, and practice harvest sharing, which is distributing fresh produce to local families in need. These homes are being renovated, they're being revitalized, and they can also be used as storage facilities for canned goods, boxed goods, produce boxes that we're holding. It's actually a great location, not only for this idea that we have here, but if we want to do cooking classes, it's actually easier for these classes to be held within the neighborhood that they're fostered in, instead of outward, because then you have to provide the resources for shuttles and getting transportation to these people in the neighborhood. When the access is there, these homes are homes. They have kitchens, they have rooms, they have shelter that we can actually host and have these little community gatherings to utilize as an outdoor classroom. We have communal engagement. So neighborhood or community block parties, hosting events that bring residents together, featuring free meals, music, and activities. Health and wellness services, like collaborating with local barber and dental students, fitness instructors, and other professionals to offer services during community events. We can't just walk into a neighborhood and say, hey, this is what's happening, this is what we're gonna do, we're gonna change up everything that you guys have going on here, and you're gonna see the program and get with it. We have to introduce ourselves into these communities and let them know that we are a resource for them, and we're not turning what they know and love into something that may not benefit them in the long run. Gentrification is a big thing that a lot of people are terrified of, so you kind of have to show with your actions and not your words that that's not what this is. Education and skill building, training volunteers and community members in gardening and farming techniques. Cooking classes by teaching nutrient-dense meal preparation and with locally grown produce, and offering hands-on activities to inspire the next generation of urban gardeners and leaders. A lot of these children who are out and about in these neighborhoods have nothing better to do with themselves other than find something to do with themselves. So that can take them onto the wrong path because there's just no other resources for them to get into, no other skills for them to learn and cultivate. Gardening is something that a lot of people find that they learn to love on accident. It's not something that you just pick up as a hobby. It's something that you find yourself doing and seeing the rewards, and it's something that you want to continue. Partnerships and volunteerism. Local partnerships by collaborating with businesses, schools, and organizations to provide resources and support, and engaging individuals in meaningful roles to drive the initiative's success. There's no one that's going to protect what's theirs than the people who own it. So if you start these initiatives and you have these spaces within the neighborhoods that they're going to help, they're not going to let those within the neighborhoods ruin a good thing for everyone. Now, if we put something up and we said, hey, this is on this street, it's gonna be for you guys, who cares? But this is something that you guys are maintaining. And we plan on utilizing our funding to incentivize the volunteers of those members of the community. Again, no one works harder than a 13 or 14-year-old who's not old enough to get a legitimate job. So if you're able to incentivize them with profit by maintaining the yard structure or mowing, teaching them how to weed, teaching them how to prune, cultivate, and harvest these plants, herbs, and produce that we're producing, they're gonna love that. And while we're at it, instead of just taking care of the yards or cultivating what we have in the space that we're allowed, why not take care of your neighbor's yard as well? Because you may have a neighbor that's elderly and cannot do so. You may have a neighbor that's disabled and cannot do so. So we'll take care of each other, and that creates a economy of your neighbors helping your neighbors. And to tie it all off, the goal is to have a pilot project by securing a single foreclosed property from the city to demonstrate the program's potential. And it's a scalable model. The beauty about this initiative is that it's so easily repeatable that it can be done anywhere. However, the demonstration needs to be shown that this is something that is truly possible. It doesn't even have to stop here within a city. It can be replicated by any city in any town in any part of the country. Strengthen by community bonds. This can reduce crime rates and empower the residents. It can increase access to fresh, nutritious foods and education on healthy living. And so, with that being said, I know I speak a little fast. I am open to questions, but in my closing statement, with your support from Trap House to Greenhouse can become a transformative initiative that revitalizes neighborhoods, reduces food insecurity, and fosters community pride. Together, we can build sustainable and an inclusive future for the residents. And that's it. It's more than a gardening program. It's a societal change that we're hoping to move as a movement to nurture resilience and create a lasting change in the underserved and overlooked. Thank you.
Chef, I'm gonna tell you, I don't know of any better initiative than what you proposed here, because it truly is the gift that keeps on giving. And all ages can be involved in this initiative.
Absolutely.
And no question about that, absolutely. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you. Any comments from the board? Okay, sir.
Sir, how many pounds of food do you plan on handling a year? Do you have that figured out?
So as far as how many pounds of food, we do not have. So at the current moment, the idea is to more so in this first year, the teaching, the sustainability, and the cooking techniques utilizing locally grown foods. Because it is going to take time, especially now at the moment we're in the winter. So we do hope to get started by April, the second week of April actually. But the growing process, the cultivating, the trial and error of growing your own produce, things of that sort are going to take a while. So our initial outlook is going to be to teach cooking techniques and sustainability and collect donations and use our homes as food pantries. Absolutely.
Thank you, Commissioner Legg. Commissioner Swallow.
Do you have any workshops currently planned, like something on paper, like a date or something, so those who may be interested can reach out to you?
Absolutely. So we actually are connected with a couple of other local businesses, and for example, the organization Farms Helping Families on Yadkin Road is a partner with my organization here. And on the 11th, we're hosting a plant propagation class, just things to get our volunteers and our community members involved and interested. So that way, once the winter is done and after the last frost, we kind of have some skill sets ready to rock and roll with. We would love our volunteers to not only be volunteers, but also mentors and educators as well. We would like them to have enough information under their belt. So when we do start moving into these neighborhoods and interacting with the community members, it's not just me speaking to them, or it's not just an expert speaking to them. Our volunteers have been going through, classes, collaborations, and project involvement all throughout the winter.
Do you have a date for that?
That class is on the 11th, this Saturday, actually, at 10 a.m.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for board members?
Mayor, if I could add, I just want to commend the brother, as a fellow farmer myself. I'm somebody that's always intensely interested in growing my own fruits and vegetables. Commissioner Scroll, he reminds me of the Food Forest and the initiative we attended in Atlanta at the National League of Cities Conference. So I'm specifically interested in how he can partner with the town. Something with kids, something with community gardens. We have a lot of land. And so I definitely will be following up with him to see about how can we cultivate either some of the workshops here or some official partnership with the town of Hope.
Absolutely, I appreciate that. Let's build on this. Okay.
Thank you for coming, Chef Jaquan. And as Chancellor mentioned, I was going to bring up the Atlanta that we went to in Atlanta. This kind of reminds me of a program like that. And I also would like to reach out to churches, business owners, people that own land in the community, if they're able to help create community gardens, if they could reach out and help partner with you. And I think this is a long-term way. We host food drives to the town of Hope Mills. Helping people that have food insecurity is something that I'm very passionate about, but I think the things that you are doing can lead to long-term ways to help people fight insecurity. So I appreciate you, and please keep us in mind, and definitely, as town manager stated, we'll definitely be in contact with you with some further projects and things to do. So thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Dr. McCray. No, like I said, this is not a one and done. Chef Jaquan, not at all. It's the beginning.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. We build on it. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. I need to beg forgiveness. I just noticed someone else is in our audience.
Enjoy.
I just noticed there was someone else. So I beg forgiveness. Our school board district representative is here with us tonight, Dr. Jordan. I beg forgiveness.
That's okay.
I do. I just noticed, I was looking around and I said, I think I know someone else that's here with us tonight. So welcome to us. Welcome and thank you for coming. Our next agenda item is public hearing, and that's going to be case A 2024-09. That's a lot of words there, but I think Emily can dive into it probably quicker and better than I can.
Good evening. We have a request for annexation. Sorry, my sinuses are talking. We have a request for annexation, and the request will include it to initially zone to CP commercial, and Town of Hope Mills voted to accept the petition for annexation on November 18th, submitted by Chad Post on behalf of Hope Mills, Rockfish WW LLC, not Town of Hope Mills, but that's the name of the owner. Tied to several parcels equaling up to a total of 16.71 acres. Subject property is adjacent to Stony Point Baptist Church and multiple residential properties across the street from commercially developed property and all within the county's jurisdiction. Basically the intersection of Rockfish and Camden Road. Access to the property can be from either Camden Road or Rockfish Road. Board of Commissioners approved Resolution R 2024-22 on December 16th of last month, fixing the public hearing to today's meeting, and staff is requesting authorization to proceed to initially zone the property under CP for commercial. And here you see the location of the property. It is mostly surrounded by county. Let me see if I can get this to work. Yeah. So these little blue areas right here are in the town, but this is actually not considered a lot anymore as DOT took it, and there's just a tiny lot right here that's left over from after DOT taking the rest of it, as they're going to be doing a lot of changes in the near future. But this property that is highlighted in yellowish green was previously a horse farm, so it's pretty much undeveloped at the moment. And for the most part, staff is requesting authorization to proceed should we decide to vote for it. So I open the floor for any questions.
Before I open the public hearings, any comments from the board?
Motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Mayor Pro Tem Dr. McCray votes yes. Public hearing is open. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in favor of the proposed case A 2024-09? Is there anyone here that would like to speak in favor of case A 2024-09? Is there anyone here that would like to speak against the proposed case 2024-09? Is there anyone here that wants to speak against the proposed A 2024-09? Seeing none, I have a motion to close.
Motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Public hearing is now closed. And Mayor Pro Tem votes unanimous.
Now I'd like to make a motion that we approve annexation 2024-09 and authorize staff to begin the initial zoning process to designate the property as CP Planned Commercial District.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Everybody voted affirmative, along with Mayor Pro Tem, it's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Motion is approved. Okay, next item is public comments. Please come to the mic and give your name and address. And you have 3 minutes. And the first, it looks like, is it John? John, did I get the first name right?
That's close enough, yes, sir.
All right. Is it Rigdon?
Got that?
All right, I got it. Sometimes I get names right, sometimes I'm not sure.
All right, so in October 24, the mayor participated in a article talking about his new administration and the transparency in that. However, in the article also talked about a bunch of folks in Hope Mills who were adamant against growth, wanted to freeze Hope Mills to the 1960s. He also talked about they'd never provide any solutions or give any constructive criticism. Now, the thing that got me going was he said, a bunch of internet trolls like to lie, slander, and criticize anything they disagree with. But frankly, I think that's just being an American and educated constituent. So with that, I'm just asking, where is the transparency? What was the reason for the $300,000 for that server? What happened to piss off Ernest Wright and his right to come kick us off that server? We have to yank out $300,000. The Christmas decorations, how much did that cost? $20,000, $30,000? Where'd it go? Where are those decorations? Don't know. $80,000 for a pay study? Pay study. Public employees, public information, $800 to a college grad, they can figure that information out for you, but $80,000. $65,000, $85,000. We're doing a strategic study. The town planner right there. He was town planner for 10 years, now he's your manager. What do we have to show for it? $65,000, $85,000, we've got Dollar Tree, Dollar General, tire places, still no sit down eating. But now we're gonna get a $500,000 police facility. Out of the blue, this thing just jumped right up. It's all of a sudden emergency, you're gonna do it tonight. And there's not gonna be any real discussion on it. Well, that's okay, it's not real money, right? It's not like you guys are paying for it. And before you start going off about, sir, before you start going off about misinformation, disinformation, I've talked to him about your website. It's hard broke. It has no real valid information. For example, the last newsletter put on your website is August of 23. Last manager report, October of 23. There's no backdated copies of those reports. So if I'm supposed to get information as an educated constituent, where am I supposed to find that at? Not on your website. And on top of that, because it's just free money, you're paying somebody else's server to hold your municipal regulations on it. Again, it's not real money. This is getting into the point of obfuscation. Now, you don't want a conversation. You don't want to have a town hall because you don't want to hear what we have to say. Because that's where you're gonna start calling us trolls and start making slanderous remarks on your own part. Well, that's fine. You know what the difference is between Spring Lake and Hope Mills? Anybody? Spring Lake got caught. Okay, they got caught. Y'all keep this up. I hope somebody goes to jail for it.
Thank you, John. Okay. Just brief.
Now, I know for like, just some of the stuff, you rattled off quite a few things, like the Christmas decorations. Mark, how many times did we meet to discuss the Christmas decorations? Because even Sally Bailey, she was there herself too, because we discussed how much we were spending.
We've met probably 5 or 6 times discussing the Christmas decorations. We purchased some. We are holding off on the rest of the purchases. They're going to go on sale here shortly.
Do you remember how much we spent?
We spent about $10,000 so far.
Yeah. And
part of the reasons they're not up is because of electrical connections, that they're not lit, they're actually up. And that's, we've been working on it for a while, but with the problems on the other side of the state, most of the spare service people with Duke Energy are not available to put the electrical connections in.
And that's from, you know, Marquez, you're with the, which committee? Parks and Rec Committee. We've had multiple meetings about it with the Committee of Committees, with the Parks and Rec Committee. We had our own Christmas decoration committee, so that's been discussed multiple times. We also try to respond about the electrical problem, but we can't, with Western North Carolina, there's only so much we could do. We couldn't get them down here to put up all the light bulbs. We know all the light bulbs didn't have power. We didn't want to just leave them bare, so we put the lights on there to do something. Because we bought them, we couldn't pipe them up, so what were we supposed to do? But that's just one of the answers. So there was plenty of meetings, but if people, again, we had multiple meetings for that, and I talk about that in my fireside chat. I can't do if people don't listen. I mean, I can only say it so much. What's that? I don't know what you're pointing to.
I don't know if I'm allowed to respond. But it's not on the website, is it? How am I supposed to know that if it's not on the website? I mean, it's just that simple.
But I mean, some of that information comes down to committee meetings too.
It's 2025, it's all digits.
We'll take a look at the website and update it. Okay?
I mean, that misinformation, disinformation, right?
Say again?
Misinformation, disinformation. I've been in his office and I've had conversations with him. We tried to talk about it. That's my job. I'm an IT network dude. And I tried to give him some tips, techniques, and procedures to help out, but that's last summer. Ain't heard nothing, or summer before last. But again, I just want to be able to self-serve. Go find the information. Even if you guys link to the Cumming County page, even if you link to NCDOT, what the heck's going on there in front of the food line? Left turn? Where do I find it? Don't know.
Trust me, and I even asked about that with FAMPO.
Again, I don't want to get into trouble by having a discussion here because I don't want to have to come and poke you guys individually in the check. You have a staff. He has a staff. There's somebody getting paid to do that job. I'm paying for it. So tell me where that money is going. I mean, again, you gave me my 3 minutes. I don't want to get into trouble, but it's $300,000.
If you want to speak with me after this, I'll give you my card, so we don't have to hold up the meeting. We can do that.
We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. John, I thank you for your comments and for coming and presenting your comments to the board tonight. We're gonna move on. The next speaker, is this Francis? I was gonna say. Our House Representative from District 45, the Honorable Francis Jackson.
It's me, Francis. I just want to say Happy New Year to all of you and letting you know I'm here if you need me. Wanting you to know, I didn't put it out on my Facebook, and I'm not sure if you all are aware, but we, the delegation, we will be taking our oath of office on Wednesday at 12 noon for the House. I'm not sure what time the Senate, but they both will be live streamed. If you are okay to take that drive, I just want you to know that, hey, we're here for you, and you're invited if you choose to come take that cold drive up there. We'd love to see you. But if not, this live stream. And I just want to make you all aware, and again, thank you all, look forward to working with you all in 2025. Okay?
And so do we. We thank you for representing us.
Absolutely, and if had you not recognized my new boss, I was going to. But anyway, thank you guys.
Mayor, if I could, Representative Jackson, could you provide me with that information on the oath on Wednesday?
Yes, it is.
I actually would like to attend.
Okay, it is at the General Assembly for the House. Like I said, we will start at 12 noon. If I were you, I'll get there early, get a seat, but we do have an overflow room. Those of you who don't know, it's 16 West Jones Street, where the General Assembly is located. And there are 120 of us who will be taking the oath. And of course, you know what it's like with family and friends. So, like I said, please do come if you want.
I think that
be fine.
the fact that you're always here to support us, I think it would be a great gesture of good faith if someone from Hope Mills was able to be present.
Well, that'd be great. Let me know if there I might need someone to hold the Bible for me, just in case my pastor don't make it. But thank you so much for wanting to come.
Okay. Consent agenda is next on the agenda.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve item A, B, and C under consent agenda.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Wait.
I still need you to approve item D. You only removed one of the surplus items, not both of them. There were 2 items on surplus.
I will, Mayor, I'll add to that item D as well, with the exception of the, is the expedition from the fire department?
I think that's find out.
Yeah, it's the second vehicle.
Yeah, the second vehicle.
We're removing the 2005 Ford Expedition Fire Department. That's what we're removing. Okay. All right. We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor? Everyone votes unanimous. Mayor Pro Tem votes unanimous as well. Consent agenda is approved as presented. Next item under item number 7 is old business. There is none. We continue to have meetings. Seems like all of our meetings always have no old business. That's pretty good. Under new business, item A, approval of budget amendment number 17 for $1,625 to cover costs associated with police training. Funds will be allocated from the drug forfeiture account. That's under tab 9. Who's got this one?
May I defer to Police Chief Stephen Doppelger.
You read that again, please.
It's approval of budget amendment number 17 in the amount of $1,625 to cover costs associated with police training. Funds to be allocated from the drug forfeiture account.
So this is our second year. We've held the Violent Crime Task Force Conference. It had almost 200 attendees over in Fayetteville, and we brought in speakers from all over the country, to include one from New Jersey for arson. That was our part of it. The FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit came. Alcohol, tobacco, and firearms had an undercover guy that did years of undercover with law motorcycle gangs, and it was attended by agencies from all across North Carolina. So that's what that was for. It was a very productive 2-day conference.
Yeah. Thank you, Chief.
And my officer's here when you read it.
Well, once we get through new business. Yeah, at the end of new business.
Now, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve budget amendment number 17 for $1,625 to cover costs associated with the training funds to be allocated from the drug forfeiture account.
We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Everybody votes unanimous. Mayor Pro Tem votes unanimous as well. Motion carries. Item B, authorizing the town manager to sign a memorandum of understanding with North Carolina Debt Set-Off Clearinghouse for town collections and approval of corresponding resolution R 2025-003, and that's under tab 10. This one will go
I got
to Drew.
Okay, if you recall, at the last council meeting, y'all approved the, planning and zoning department to use a resource that's able to get information from folks, for the outstanding debts that we have for code enforcement. This is the finance side of that, where once we get that information, as a member of the North Carolina Debt Setup Clearinghouse, then we can submit that information for collection. What the North Carolina Debt Setup does is anything that's owed to municipalities or state enterprises can use the debt set-off, and the state can extract those funds for people's refunds or money that they were getting from the state, and we can get a portion of our money back from that. It's just like a, almost like a collection agency just for state and municipality businesses, but you have to be a member of it. So this is setting us up so we can be a member of that and take advantage of that process.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Everybody good? Do we have a motion?
Make a motion, we authorize the town manager to sign the MOU to NC Debt Set-Off Clearinghouse, for town collection.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? And no one opposed, and the mayor pro tem votes unanimous, motion carries.
Mayor, before you go to the next agenda item, I would like to, just for the record, commend our planning staff. Even though this was something tied to an MOU with the finance piece, many people may not realize this is directly tied to code enforcement. We have been talking for the better part of the last 10 years about how when there is a expiration of the notice of violation for something like a cleanup or a grass cutting or things of that nature, our code enforcement department has to contract out for someone else to do that. Up until this point, the only mechanism was a lien on the property. And a lot of times until the property is sold, that just doesn't have a lot of teeth. This program is something we have been talking about for a long time. And the fact that we're now at a position of being able to actually approach these a little bit more aggressively, that's the win. I just wanted to speak that to the record.
Thank you very much, Chancellor. You're exactly correct. This brings the teeth. Over what's approved tonight will have the teeth to go after the funding. All right, item C is appointment of Kenneth Rogers to the Homelessness Advisory Committee. That's under tab 11. You got this, Commissioner Frager? Commissioner Frager has this one.
I'd like to nominate Kenny Rogers to the Homeless Advisory Committee, starting immediately.
Second.
No.
Okay, we have a motion, and the Mayor Pro Tem has seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
And no one's opposed. The Mayor Pro Tem votes unanimous. Motion carries. Moving right along, we're on item E. I'll read it here in a minute.
D. Mayor, you skipped item D.
I skipped one? Oh, yes, I did. Thank you. Okay, item D is appointment of Nicole Brandon, Ronald Goschak, and Gurley Mitchell to the Economic Development Committee, and that is under tab 12. Who wants this one?
I'll make a motion that we approve.
Actually, before we get to the motion, you want to go ahead and speak about this?
Sure. Good evening, Mayor and Board of Commissioners. As you're aware, the administration accepted applications for about a month for the 3 resident vacancies on the Economic Development Committee. We received a total of 6 applications. 1 was ineligible because they did not live in the town limits. The other 5 applications were sent to the nominating committee of the Economic Development Committee, and then they provided their nominations that received the most votes from the four of them. And so those are the recommendations that are before you.
I'd like to add that this is a newly created Economic Development Committee that was recently formed. These are the 3 citizen vacancies that are available to serve on the Economic Development Committee. The nominating committee, per the bylaws, reviewed all 6 applications, or 5 of them, I think. And the tally sheet shows exactly how the nominating committee voted, just like you said, Ashley. And that's what's before the board tonight. All the applications are in the packet. The recommendation is to appoint these 3 individuals to the Economic Development Committee. So, do we have a motion?
No, I'm making a motion.
Do we have a second? Before I call for the vote, is there any discussion about 1 or 2 or all 3 individuals that we're about to approve tonight? I did. I did. I did. I did. I did. Any comments? Okay. All in favor? Seeing none opposed, Mayor Pro Tem votes affirmative. Motion carries. We have 3 new citizens that will serve on our Economic Development Committee, and I appreciate their willingness to make application and their willingness to serve on our committee. That first meeting for those 3 will be next Tuesday at our Economic Development Committee, and that's from 11 to 1, and that's here in Town Hall. Now we can move on to item E, which is authorizing the town manager to enter into a due diligence contract to purchase property located at 5770 Lady Lane Road in the town of Hope Mills Municipal Influence Area in the amount of $510,000, and that is under tab 13. Chief, you'll probably lead it off. Chancellor's probably going to come in behind you.
Sure. So this is a substation we're looking to obtain because we're out of space at the new facility, and this will serve a couple. It will free up space here. It will be accessible to our investigations and our patrol units to be able to increase response time there in that section of the town, which is tough to get to from here with all the congestion and the traffic, and it's something we need. We are out of space. We're female lockers. We have more female officers than we have lockers, and it's we just grew up with the SROs and the crime scene unit. And we're going to be hiring more officers as the town continues to grow, so we're going to need this additional space.
Okay. One of the key questions, Chief, there are probably a number of them, is why are we buying this building in the location that we're buying it in? And why have we outgrown the current public safety building that we have?
Well, I wasn't here when the planning for this current building was done. Obviously not by the board, but by I guess the police department, the fire department at the time. And it was only planned to accommodate the 41 sworn officers they had at the time. There was no thought about growth or hiring additional officers, evidenced by the small amount of female lockers that we have, shortage of space, no thought about evidence capacity. We're at full capacity in our evidence room already. I don't know. I wasn't involved in the planning. It was already under construction when I was hired.
Mayor, I would like to add as well, if you can, everyone can go back to Florence and Matthew. Those were 2 hurricanes that hit this town at a level we've never seen. And at one point, one of the hurricanes were completely cut off from everyone. And what typically happened is we as a town, I wasn't manager at the time, but we as a town realized that we were not able to take care of our own. And so from my understanding, that's what birthed the idea of the level 4 facility that we call the public safety building. I do know at the time our police station and fire stations needed to be renovated, but from my understanding, the hurricanes and the ability for us to have a fully operational EOC is what greenlit the idea of having the public safety center. In terms of the location, the 301 area where this is located is an area where we're experiencing a tremendous amount of growth all around. But right on the other side of 301 is where you have Chickenfoot Road, Sheets, Wawa's, Dirtbag Gales, and a huge industrial complex. I think we just approved 2 subdivisions with a total of about 800 single-family residential houses. And as opposed to fire, police stations or police departments don't have mutual aid contracts and things of that nature like the fire department does. So if you're talking about Sand Hill Road, I want you to picture how far Sand Hill Road on Chickenfoot Road is from here. That is the furthest limits of the police officer's jurisdiction. And so while I want people to make sure you're vigilant and asking the question about this location, there are other portions of town that we need to be mindful of with the current expansion of the town from a long-term rate, especially we're talking about long-term strategic planning. There may be other areas for police and fire we need to have these conversations. But when this fell in our lap with the location of it in our municipal influence area, that's one of the reasons why it was at least interesting to me. Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead.
Now, Chancellor, I think you can explain a little bit more on it too, because some people had questions about the whole tax thing. Can you
Yes,
explain that,
so
please?
a lot of times people will look on, I guess, a GIS website and see tax value. Tax value and fair market value are not the same thing. And so your tax value is what essentially what it means. It's what you're taxed on. But when you're talking about a land acquisition and a purchase price, you're talking about real estate transactions and comparables, and you're talking about fair market value. So if you look at it on the face of the tax value on the property, it will give you the impression that this property is worth a lot less. That's not factoring in the fair market value, and I think that's where some of those discrepancies come in.
Mr. Craig?
I submitted a lot of questions to the town manager today in reference to all this. It's just so hard for me to believe that after just a year, we have already, we've got to get another police station. Do we have to have that this year? And where are we going to get this money from?
Well, the money and the funding is up to you, but we needed this building last year. The day they moved in, they were at full capacity. And we've hired with SROs, we had to hire officers for our crime scene unit. We're going to be hiring additional officers as the town continues to grow. We're out of space. The evidence room, there was no thought about the amount of evidence. We're at full capacity in the evidence room the day we moved in.
Well, what did we pay engineers and people for if they were not going to plan for the future, knowing we were going to be paying $18 million back for 30 years? And the board came back and said it's to last us for 30 years. And now we've been here, what, a year? We're already out.
I will add again, as I did in the email responses, from my understanding, the building, the acquisition or the idea to build this building was not necessarily tied to future growth, but tied to the ability of us to have a fully operational EOC. And so ultimately, that's the only thing I can think of as to why the design of it did not take into the fact that we were growing at an alarming rate. The climate in Hope Mills was completely different. 5 years ago at the time we were talking about this building, we were not in a position, Chief Dollinger was not here. We didn't have the pay study done that actually triggered the tremendous increase in our staff. But from my understanding, looking into it, it wasn't that the building actually was inadequately built. I think the purpose of the building was for us to have a level 4 facility and an EOC that we've used several times since it was built, but we are experiencing growth. And I don't think that was one of the factors that led to the design of the building.
And I concur. I think the building is an excellent building. I mean, it's a state-of-the-art building. It was, a lot of thought went into taking, making it a level 4 with the EOC and stuff like that. It's a great building. It's just that we don't have enough room for the officers that we have today, and we won't have enough room for any future officers.
And I will also add, if that building was to the capacity that it would hold extra officers, I do firmly believe you're still going to have conversations about substations and some of the outlying areas. If we're talking about how far, if we had an annexation on the agenda tonight, we had 2 on the consent agenda. We average a significant amount of annexations, which is our only mechanism of extending our corporate boundaries. If you were to map out where these annexations are taking place, even if you had a fully staffed building that could actually handle the increase of staff, that's centrally located here, you're still going to have a concern about the extension of the police officers' reach in terms of their jurisdiction in some of these areas that are pretty far out from this location.
And the building we're looking to get is almost half done, if you will, with what we need it for. If you were to build one from the ground up, it would probably cost you 3 times the price.
It's just hard to believe that, and we have people that were on board here, and they had an opportunity to go with substations versus a building. And that was turned down, as you know. Right now, until I find out more about it, I care deeply for you and the police department, and I want y'all to have everything you possibly need. I just feel like it's a little fast right now for me to comprehend all this. So right now, for me, I can't vote for it, but I probably will later on, but right tonight I can't.
Thank you, Commissioner Craver. I want to add something that's very important to know. I want to add something. I'll get right with you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay.
That building was designed 10 years ago. I will say this because I came on the board, my first term as commissioner in 17. In 18, at the retreat, is when that board voted on pursuing the current building that we have now. But the design of this building, and Drew knows exactly where I'm going, that design was 10 years ago. Now, can anyone in this room tell me, what did our population look like 10 years ago? Over the past 10 years, we have approved an enormous amount of voluntary annexations. Residential, commercial. Every one of these annexations, just like tonight, that we approve and take into the town, we are obligated to provide services to those locations. The original design, yes, in 17, we knew that substations was also going to be needed. But the design, the town was already invested about $800,000 into the design of that building then. Substations was needed 10 years ago. There still are today. Even more today than they were 10 years ago. Now, when this building was designed, the population was different. When we cut the ribbon, the population is still different. And then the town absorbed the SRO, TCO function from the Sheriff's Department, which we gladly did. We set a high standard on assuming that that important public safety function that I continue to hear about every day from our school systems, teachers, kids, parents, and people that drive up and down that road every day that Marquez is out there with his team providing safe traffic. We assumed that mission, and we did it admirably. We still do. So when we hire all these additional officers, where are we going to put them? Now, I could say something that Commissioner Scarola would say in a GP large. For those of us in the military who've been in the military, that's a large tent with about 2 beams in the middle. On a windy night, guarantee they'll shake and rattle. We have an exceptional police department that is dedicated to public safety every day. And our role as elected officials and town officials is to provide services and public safety to our community every day. Our employees deserve to work in an organization, and you guys have heard me say this 1,000 times, and I will scream it from the rooftops. I'm not going to preach, but I will say this. Our employees deserve to be valued. And providing an additional space, that is providing that value to our employees. Over those 10 years, our town has passed on a number of property locations that could have worked out as a subway, as a substation. Commissioner Graver, I understand that you don't want to support it. I got that.
It's not that I don't want to support it, I just see that you just paid a year on this building, and it's 30 years. We've only paid a year, even if what have we, Drew? Did we pay each month, or we're just paying interest on that building? What have we done?
We're paying the debt annually.
Okay, we're doing it annually. We paid what, 1 year?
Each year.
But
We've only paid, I believe, we made the first debt payment.
We paid
in
1
this past
year.
budget year.
We have 29 more years to pay. How much is that? How much is it each year that we're paying?
I don't recall off the top of my head.
Do you have a rough estimate of what it is?
It might be $600,000.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
And I really do. I wish we could run it and get you one in every corner. And we're probably going to end up doing that. Until I can get this in my head that it's something that I feel like I can support. Right now, I cannot see going in more debt for something that we're already paying for. Is there not any way we can rearrange the offices or whatever to make room for you over there?
We've already done that. We've already added additional cubicles in front of windows. We have our female lockers are now in a vestibule as opposed into the locker room, where if somebody was opening up the door and there was a female changing, they could see them from the hallway. We've maximized every inch of space that we can there.
Is there not any way you could take that, the exercise room, because I understand the policemen go to Fit for Life.
That is not true. I don't know where you're getting that from. But we have officers that utilize that gym almost every hour of the day. Some that get off the night shift, they use it at night. Today I came to work at 10 minutes to 7 a.m. There were 2 female officers in there using the gym. That gym is used all the time. I don't know, but maybe a handful that have memberships to Fit for Life. So I don't know where that information is coming from.
I don't either, but I know that that's just what they said, that they were not. So
Who's
I
they?
thought, well,
Who's they?
well, people in the community that have memberships that they see them over there.
Well, I'm actually one of the officers that has a membership there, and I would say I probably work out in our gym here 4 days a week, and if I have extra time, I go over there, and I can't name maybe 4 other officers.
Well, I mean, my point is wouldn't it be cheaper for us to buy them memberships for the firemen and and take that room into.
That room is not even
What
close to
I'll,
being big enough.
Chief, I'll chime in, as I did respond to the emails and provide that answer. One, you have staff members in this building that utilize that gym as well, but the size of it is not nearly as large as it would need to be to accommodate the growing need that we're talking about, which is why I said earlier, even with that building being large enough to handle the increased staff, that still does not adequately address the needs of the distance, the sheer distance from here to Sand Hills Road in the middle of a crisis. I think we're in a better position if you have a base starting point off of 301 in that area. I understand the question about the gym, but that gym is not nearly large enough to adequately address what I would think would be the staff levels you would be able to accommodate at a substation.
And there are additional, like today, there was I think you see the Public Works or Parks and Rec employee that was using the gym. Some of the administrative people here use the gym. And having a better fit, and I'll speak for the fire department because I'm sure in any public safety, when you have officers and firemen that are in better shape, they're less prone to injury. And if they do get injured, their recovery time's a lot better. If people want officers and firemen that are physically fit to do the job, and they know that when they're coming here to save their lives, they're physically fit enough to do it. So doing away with the gym would be a horrible idea.
Okay, well, is the next thing is the fire department, have they outgrown their part? Are we gonna have to do substations for the fire department?
I will tell you at the Corona's dinner, there's a full presentation on the strategic long-term growth for the fire department as well.
That's just
Okay.
heartbreaking. I'm sorry.
Mayor Pro Tem, Dr. McCray.
Hi, I just wanted to say that Chief, I think he gave a good rationale in his dissertation. I call it a dissertation, but his strategic plan. So he was very thorough and detailed. And we've talked about substations probably, like you all said, before I even got on the board. So we knew we would need substations. And I think that if we wait, the building may not be available. And of course, escalate costs, it may cost us more. But what I wanted to, and the changes and the things that the community needs or the department needs is not going to change because we don't want to pay out the money. But I wanted to speak for myself. I was never told that building, we asked constantly through the construction of that building, was that building built for the future? And we were told yes. I was never told that the day that they moved in that they didn't have enough space. This is new to me. So I've always asked when we're growing, do we have enough staff? Do we have enough space? So I was never under the impression, and I don't want the community to feel that I knew, I can't speak for anybody else, that building was not big enough because we did constantly ask and we were told that it was big enough. That does not change what is happening now. So we need the substation. We knew we would need the substations, but that was not my impression that we were building a building that it was going to be at capacity when we got inside of the building. And we had change orders about other things, you know, and I know Chief came in, Chief Officer came in, he made a lot of changes. I guess he made changes of what he could, but I was not, I can't speak for my other board members, I was not under the impression that the building was not big enough. So I just want, but I do agree that we need the substation. I did not know that we would need them so quickly, and we did not know about the SRO situation. But regardless, it does not seem like it was built for the future and the growth, because we did have the projections, and we do have projections now of how fast our community is growing. So I just really want us to take that into account. I know things seem big sometimes, but they're not big when your population could probably double in 5 years. So I just wanted to speak for myself. I'm not speaking for any board member that I did not know that building was being built to only, that we were over capacity when we moved in the building. I was not aware of that, and I don't want the public to think that I was aware of that because I was not.
And that's why, Doc, when I started, I said I know the board wasn't involved in the planning. You can only go with the information that's given to you. You aren't the ones that are visiting other stations and stuff like that and have to make recommendations. So,
and that's why I let Option say that the design of that building was 10 years ago.
And that's a good point, because a concept doesn't come to life overnight. It's thought of, and then and when it's originally thought of, it's 10 years prior to it actually being built. And like you said, there's a lot of changes since 10 years.
Yeah. You look at the amount of annexation and the growth in Hope Mills. I mean, could you have projected this amount of growth 10 years ago when that building was first designed? And then it was designed then as an EOC as well. But like Mayor Pro Tem said, we were told when I was on the board, although when we stuck the shovel in the ground and then cut the ribbon, we were told all the way through, at least the prior board was, that it was built and it could assume growth. But we now know that we're at capacity. We had to take on the SRO mission, which we did. But I want us to also look at the location of where this is, of where this building is.
It's an ideal location for response.
That's probably the biggest key that may be overlooked and underscored here as we get wrapped around the price of a building. You have to look at that location. Now, we're going to need a substation out in the Jack Britt area because the western part is continuing to grow as well. And we've got to provide services for these areas, all of them. And then we're looking at the central part of the town. Fire departments have mutual aid contracts, yes. But even with mutual aid contracts, that's not going to keep pace with the amount of growth that we have today and the amount of growth that is coming to Hope Mills. So we either have one or two choices. We say no to the growth, which we're not going to do, or we plan better to provide services, and that's kind of where we are now. The return on investment on this location is key because of where that location is on 301-95. And look at all the commercial growth at exit 41.
How many officers do you plan on putting out there? Do you know how many?
Well, it'll be accessible to all patrol when they're out in that area. They'll have access to the building. And we'll be moving, at least 10 right off the bat.
Well, I know you don't have parking spaces over here.
Well, that's the other thing too. Yeah, we have no.
And I went out there and looked at it, and it looks like you've got a lot of parking places out there.
Where now?
Out at the new building.
Oh, yeah, it will be ample enough parking for the officers that will be assigned there and any of the patrol officers that have to stop there. That's correct.
And how much did you project that it's gonna cost to remodel it to fit to your needs?
I think the estimate was 156 to finish the building, 156,000 to finish the building, and we don't have an estimate for furniture and lockers and stuff like that. But I think the entire project, I'm talking about under 8, you said. 750.
Oh, you're talking the entire project?
Yeah, for the entire project.
Yeah,
Under
like
8. Yeah.
How much?
Around 800,000 for the entire
For
project.
everything, that's including the title search, the inspections, all of that. Do you think it would not come in higher than 800?
I don't think inspections cost is a whole lot of money. But yes, I think it's still coming under that.
Okay. Any other comments before we call for the motion? Okay.
So, I mean, we know we're growing. I mean, just with our building alone, with the town hall itself, the mayor doesn't even have an office anymore because our HR director is currently in the mayor's office. We knew we were growing. But like Mayor Pro Tem had said, you know, I wasn't in the early board with you and her, and but we, you know, it's obvious the police department has outgrown that space. We're outgrowing this building. I mean, we're already struggling as it is. We have the opportunity to buy a building that's completed, well, for the most part completed. We don't have to start from scratch and build a new building. Now, Chancellor, do we have a plan in place to currently pay for this?
There is a open discussion we're finalizing now that will probably end up on the agenda at the next board meeting that would fund 90% of this entire initiative.
Okay. So It's premature, but we have,
The property, yes.
Property.
The purchase of the property, yes.
so, and that's, you know,
And I will add, not to cut you off, Commissioner, these are the reasons why we did the strategic plan, contract. There are things that we need to have some very, very serious conversations about. If I were to get what I know is a budget request from code enforcement and from planning, we would be at capacity in this building. We talked last year about exploring the options of expanding town hall. And so these are good problems to have because you won't have these problems if you don't have growth. How we get there and how do we strategically plan out the future growth, like the mayor said, proud past, brighter future. What does that brighter future look like? We're at a position right now to be able to start planning out and doing the things that probably should have been done that got us here. And so we can talk about what could have happened in the past, or we can actually dig in and have some real hard conversations about how we're going to intentionally and strategically grow this town at all levels.
Okay. You still got,
I just want to reiterate, so there is something in the works coming next meeting that will solve the financial aspect for a good portion.
90% of the acquisition cost that we're talking about tonight of $510,000, there is a very specific agenda item that will be on the agenda for consideration next board meeting for your consideration.
That's all
Mr. Martin?
Yes, sir. I actually I got some questions for the attorney, but I actually have a request. And my request to the board is that we go into closed session for that. And of course, with the Town of Hope Mills Board of Commissioners Rules of Procedure, Rule 5, closed sessions under B, item 4. I mean, if it's fine with the rest of the board, we can make a motion during the closed session, but I'm requesting a closed session for my questions to the attorney.
Okay. All right. We have a motion for closed session. Do we have a second?
Mayor, if
Oh,
possible.
we gotta vote on this issue first.
Okay.
We gotta vote on item E before we go into closed session.
I don't want to.
I think his question is regarding item.
I have questions for the attorney, that's why I'm requesting it.
I was just gonna request maybe we can just give him his certificate so he doesn't have to hang around for a while.
Procedurally, wouldn't they have to suspend?
Yeah, just, suspend this, or is there a motion pending?
No.
I don't think a motion can be made.
So I think we can just,
It's just a discussion.
yeah, I think you can pivot to another agenda item and then come back to this with another.
Table this until we return?
Yes,
Okay.
and then maybe do the swearing in.
Do the motion.
Why don't we table item E? We have a motion to go into closed session. We have a second. Any discussion before we go in?
Please zone me in.
I will, point of order, you do have to actually, I think the request is before we go into closed session to allow the officer to be sworn in. So that can be done before we go back.
Okay. We'll do the swearing in before closed session. Any other discussion?
I would just like to add something to what we have been discussing. And, I just, when it comes to officers being in a certain place and able to answer a call that's right in their lap, I don't ever recall a person being killed and then not having the opportunity to have representation by the police department. And I don't think it would happen in this case. I think, I know we just built a new building and all that, but my goodness. We gotta do what we gotta do to keep up. If we don't keep up with the times just will outgrow us. And I know that we've all been around long enough to see stuff come and go. And we gotta catch the stuff that's coming, not as a story. So I think that the idea to do the police department now, we can't build one for that. We can't build one for that kind of money. And we'll find out when we have to build one out that further. We'll find out how much we save. I know it's not gonna make a lot of people happy to spend a bunch of money on the new facility, which is next door. And we might have to spend more on it. You know, we never know. We never know, but let's go on and get ready to go close session.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Legg. All in favor?
Well, we need to swear in first.
Okay. All right, let's do it. We're in all day. All right.
So the next officer getting promoted to sergeant tonight, Mr. Mayor and Board, is Anthony Monahan. Anthony was hired in March of 2022. He's been a law enforcement officer since 2016. He's retired from the United States Air Force, and he has a master's degree in psychology. Anthony Monahan.
Will read certificate of promotion by the order of the Chief of Police, Anthony Monahan, is hereby promoted to the position of sergeant. And that's the 6th day of January 2025. All right. Did we approve the motion?
You did.
Still need to do the motion.
Still need to do the
motion.
We'll be right back.
I think you need to formally vote, I don't think, because we switched to that other one.
Drew.
Okay, all in favor?
Tell me something real fast.
See none opposed? Okay. I'll be right back.
No, you got it. So you want me to?
The 90% is thinking you're fine.
All right, we're back. This is certainly closed session. Turn it back to open session. Go ahead.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to move to seal the minutes of the closed session until such a time as the release of the information would no longer frustrate the purpose of the closed session and further no action was taken.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? All unanimous. Mayor Pro Tem votes affirmative. Okay, so let's return back to a tabled motion, item E. I'll read it again. Authorizing the town manager to enter into a due diligence contract to purchase property located at 5770 Lady Lane Road in the town of Hope Mills Municipal Influence Area in amount of $510,000. Do we have a motion?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the recommendation to purchase 5770 Lady Bird Lane for $51,000.
No.
$510,000. I got my numbers wrong too.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. We have any further discussion? All in favor? Seeing no one opposed, Mayor Pro Tem also votes affirmative. The motion is passed. We move on to item F, which was added. The homeless, we want to do an addition to the homelessness committee bylaws and the schedule, and Commissioner Craver has this item.
I think the only thing that I have to read here would be section 4, board meeting proceedings. The committee shall establish a published meeting schedule for the meetings. Meetings shall be held on the second Tuesday of each month at 6 p.m. at the Thomas Oatman Chapel. Special meetings will be scheduled if needed for priority items that need a vote. No meetings will be scheduled in July. This is being changed from the second Monday of each month. And I make a motion that we change that.
Okay, we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Seeing none opposed, Mayor Pro Tem votes affirmative. That ends the new business. We go into reports and information items. All the committee meetings for the entire month of January are listed under item number 9. So as we move through this month, this is something new we're going to use. The first meeting of every month actually is going to list all of the committee meetings in the first meeting, and then modify that in the second meeting. I want to a special note that our next board meeting will not be on Monday night, the 20th. And everybody should know why. Martin Luther King Jr. Day of recognition and reflection. So our board meeting will be on Tuesday, January 21st. And of course, our regular time, 7 p.m.
And you can change that Monday, January 14th, the longest day, Tuesday, January 14th, the longest day.
All right. Staff comments, that's what's left.
I'll just note, since you just mentioned moving the meeting, I may have a conflict on Tuesday, but I'll have someone here for appointment. So.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Chance, you got anything?
No, sir.
Ashley? Rhonda? Drew? Dan? Emily? No?
Anybody says
No one else? All right. Motion to adjourn?
Please.
We are adjourned.
Good night.
All right, talk to you tomorrow.
Oh, how cold is it out?